We've got breaking news out of the WNBA. Reporter Kendra Andrews joins us now. Kendra, what can you tell us about a star that's on the move?
Yeah, Christine, Alyssa Thomas, she is on the move to the Phoenix Mercury out of the Connecticut Sun, where she spent her entire career. That is according to our Alexa Philippou. Now, Alyssa Thomas entered this offseason as an unrestricted free agent, but after she was cored by Phoenix, that means the only way she could leave was via a trade, but she did get to ultimately sign off on her destiny.
Alyssa Thomas has officially shaken up the WNBA with a blockbuster move that no one saw coming. The Connecticut Sun's longtime star is heading to the Phoenix Mercury, ending an era and setting off a chain reaction that could reshape the league.
Going to really explore and test free agency for the first time in her career. Yeah. But this was surprising. Not quite prepared to see Griner announce on her Instagram tonight she's signing with the Atlanta Dream, not exactly a WNBA power. And that ends an 11-season run in Phoenix that goes back to when she was the #1 overall pick in 2013.
For years, Thomas has been the heart and soul of Connecticut, a player who did it all: scoring, facilitating, defending, keeping the Sun competitive despite their struggles to secure a championship.
This is a mental trade. This is an absolutely mental trade, because Alyssa Thomas means DeWanna Bonner. And by the way, this random Twitter page called it. Like, now will you believe my sources? Proof I mentioned this already. Phoenix is allegedly seeking out Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner. January 26th. And then said yesterday, Alyssa Thomas, there is near 0% chance for coming back to the Sun.
But after spending her entire career with Connecticut, it became clear that it was time for a change. Thomas, who entered this offseason as an unrestricted free agent, was initially expected to explore her options. However, Phoenix stepped in, making an aggressive move that not only secures Thomas, but also signals a complete shift in strategy for the franchise. With this trade, the Mercury are making it clear. They're not content with mediocrity, they want to win now. This move, however, doesn't just impact Phoenix or Connecticut. It also sends ripples through the rest of the league, especially for Satou Sabally and the Indiana Fever.
They called it. They freaking called it. But this changes so much. I think Taurasi comes back. Like, Annie Constable obviously said, can confirm Alyssa Thomas is heading to Phoenix, which means DeWanna Bonner is going to Phoenix. Like, feel additional confirmation that Taurasi won't come back next season.
The moment Thomas left the Sun, all eyes turned to where Sabally would land next. Originally, Phoenix was seen as the frontrunner for the versatile forward, but Indiana stepped in at the perfect moment. The Fever, already an exciting young team with Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston leading the way, were missing one key piece: a versatile two-way player who could elevate them from a promising squad to a legitimate contender. That's exactly what Sabally brings to the table. At 6 feet 4 inches, she's an elite scorer, defender, and playmaker, someone who can switch between positions seamlessly. With Indiana landing her, they're not just building for the future, they're gearing up to dominate. For Connecticut, losing Thomas isn't just about parting ways with a star player. It's about losing the very identity of their team. The Sun have always been built on toughness and defense, but with their leader gone and Brianna Jones potentially following, the franchise is now in full rebuild mode. This is a team that came painfully close to a championship multiple times, but could never quite break through. And now, with Thomas out the door, they may be facing a long road back to contention. Connecticut fans will remember Thomas for her relentless energy and leadership, but the reality is, the team failed to build a true championship-caliber roster around her. That, more than anything, is what led to this moment. Meanwhile, Phoenix finds itself in an interesting position. With Diana Taurasi nearing the end of her career and Brittany Griner testing free agency, the Mercury needed a move like this to stay relevant. Last season, they were swept in the first round of the playoffs, showing that their current formula wasn't enough. Adding Thomas gives them an anchor, a leader who can facilitate the offense, bring intensity on defense, and provide the kind of grit that championship teams need. This is about maximizing Taurasi's final years and giving Phoenix a chance to make one last push. However, even with Thomas, questions remain. Will this be enough to propel them into serious title contention? Can they build a roster strong enough to compete with powerhouses like the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty? Or is this simply a move to stay competitive without truly contending? While the spotlight is on Phoenix, Indiana is quietly making moves that could redefine the league's landscape. With Caitlin Clark's playmaking, Aliyah Boston's dominance in the paint, and now Sabally's versatility, the Fever are assembling a young core that has the potential to be special. Unlike other teams that rely on aging stars, Indiana's trio is just getting started. Clark, known for her high basketball IQ and elite shooting, will have even more weapons to work with. Boston, already a force inside, will benefit from Sabally's ability to stretch the floor, keeping defenses from collapsing on her in the paint. And Sabally herself? She now has the perfect environment to thrive. A team that will allow her to take on a major role while growing alongside other rising stars. This trade also highlights a crucial shift in the WNBA's power structure. For years, teams like Connecticut, Phoenix, and Seattle were the dominant forces in the league. But now, we're seeing a new wave of contenders emerge. Indiana isn't just trying to make the playoffs. They're positioning themselves as a team that could define the next decade. The Fever's front office has made it clear. They aren't satisfied with incremental progress. They want championships. And with this move, they're making a strong case that they're ready to chase one sooner rather than later. Of course, with every major trade, there are winners and losers. Connecticut clearly falls into the latter category. Losing Thomas is a major blow, and unless they make additional moves, they could struggle to stay competitive. Phoenix, while improving significantly, still has questions to answer, particularly regarding depth and whether they have enough to take on teams like New York and Las Vegas. Meanwhile, Indiana emerges as the biggest winner of them all. They've taken a young, promising roster and turned it into a potential powerhouse. What makes this trade even more exciting is that it sets up fascinating matchups for the upcoming season. Imagine Clark, Sabally, and Boston going up against the Aces super team, or taking on the Liberty's star-studded roster. The Fever, once seen as an afterthought in the league, are suddenly one of the most compelling teams to watch. They've gone from being a rebuilding project to a legitimate threat, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. So what does this all mean for the WNBA as a whole? For one, it makes the league more competitive. Indiana's rise means that the Eastern Conference just became a lot more interesting. It also shakes up free agency. When players see a team on the rise, they want to be part of it. The Fever's newfound momentum could attract even more talent in the coming seasons, setting them up for sustained success. This trade is bigger than just one move. It's a shift in the WNBA's power structure. Phoenix is trying to hold on to its relevance, Connecticut is facing an identity crisis, and Indiana is seizing the moment. And as the dominoes continue to fall, one thing is clear. The WNBA is changing, and the Indiana Fever are leading the charge. With all these developments, the big question now is, will Indiana's new Big Three be enough to challenge the league's elite? Is Phoenix truly back in the mix for a title, or is this just a short-term fix? And what's next for Connecticut as they face an uncertain future? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's discuss. If you love WNBA news, trades, and in-depth breakdowns, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a thing. Stay tuned. This is just the beginning.